Have you ever considered that the most dangerous thing for your health is your desperate desire to be healthy? It sounds strange, doesn't it? We are taught that our vigilance, our proactive search for wellness, is our greatest shield. But in that search, in that hurried anxiety to fix what we perceive as broken, we can sometimes adopt a way of thinking that does more harm than good. It is a mindset I call the illusion of the magic pill. You know the feeling. You walk down the aisle of a pharmacy or a health food store, and you see rows upon rows of bottles, each one a promise of stronger bones, a sharper mind, a healthier heart, endless energy. It is a powerful allure in a world that moves so fast. The idea that you can capture the essence of health in a capsule and swallow it with your morning tea is deeply comforting. It feels like taking control, like building a fortress against the vulnerabilities of aging, one pill at a time. But I ask you to pause and reflect with me. Is the body truly a machine? A collection of parts that can be fixed and fortified with isolated substances. Ancient wisdom from traditions all over the world teaches us something different. It teaches us that the body is not a fortress, but a garden, a living, breathing ecosystem that is constantly in flux, responding to the world around it and within it. Imagine you have a plant in your home, and its leaves begin to turn yellow. What would you do? Would you run to the store and buy green paint to cover the yellow spots? Of course not. That would be absurd. You would know, instinctively, that the yellow leaf is not the problem. It is a message. It is the plant's way of whispering to you that something is amiss at a deeper level. Perhaps the soil is depleted of nutrients. Perhaps it is receiving too much water or not enough sunlight. The yellow leaf is merely a symptom of a deeper imbalance in the plant's ecosystem. Now, think of your body when we feel fatigue, or our joints ache, or our sleep is restless. These are our body's own yellow leaves. They are messages, invitations to look deeper. The magic pill mindset is the equivalent of painting that leaf green. It's taking a megadose of a single, isolated vitamin with the hope of forcing a change, without ever asking what the body is trying to say. We are trying to silence the messenger instead of understanding the message. I once knew a man, a wonderfully disciplined gentleman who had dedicated his retirement to the preservation of his health. His kitchen counter looked like an apothecary's shop. He had a pill for his heart, a pill for his brain, a pill for his bones, and another for his energy. He was doing everything he thought was right. Yet, when he would stand up, a wave of dizziness would often wash over him. His balance felt precarious, and a quiet anxiety hummed beneath the surface. He was so focused on adding these individual solutions that he failed to see the larger picture of disharmony they were creating. His body was protesting subtly against this barrage of isolated commands. This journey we are about to embark on is not about instilling fear of vitamins. Vitamins are essential. They are life-giving. But it is about questioning our relationship with them. It is about shifting our perspective from fixing broken parts to nurturing a whole, living system. It is about learning to listen to the whispers of our own garden before they become desperate cries for help. So, let us begin this process of understanding together, not with fear, but with a gentle and open curiosity. Let's symbolically open one of the most common bottles on that shelf, the one so many of us are told to take for our bones and our spirit, the sunshine vitamin itself. Vitamin D, what you may not know about it could change the way you see your health forever. You have likely heard it called the sunshine vitamin, a name that evokes feelings of warmth, light, and vitality. It is presented to us as a beacon of hope for maintaining strong bones, a bright mood, and a resilient immune system, and in its proper measure, found in the gentle kiss of the sun or in a nourishing meal. It is all of those things. It is a vital friend to our well-being, but a friend we must understand, for even the brightest light can cast a dark shadow when it is out of balance. The difficult truth we must explore is that too much of this sunshine vitamin, especially when taken at the wrong time, can quietly increase the risk of a stroke while you sleep. This is not a story meant to create fear, but to awaken a deeper awareness. I think of a man I once knew, a kind soul named Walter, who was a retired Navy veteran with a discipline that was truly admirable. His health was his mission. Every morning, with precision, he would line up his supplements, and chief among them was a tiny capsule containing 10,000 U of vitamin D. He believed, with every fiber of his being, that he was building an unshakable foundation for his bones, protecting himself from the frailties of age. He was doing what he thought was best, an act of profound self-care. But his body was silently struggling with this overwhelming gift. One morning, his wife found him in a state of confusion. His speech tangled, his right arm hanging limp and unresponsive. A stroke had stolen a piece of his vitality in the quiet of the night. When the doctors looked for answers, they found them in his blood. It was overflowing with calcium, and his arteries, which should have been soft and flexible, had become stiff and narrow. The source of this dangerous imbalance was traced back to that little capsule of vitamin D. Let us try to understand why this happens. Imagine your bloodstream is a flowing river, and calcium is like a fine, mineral-rich sand. In the right amount, this sand is essential. It is carried by the river to be deposited along the banks, making them strong and resilient. These are your bones. However, when you take a massive dose of vitamin D, it's like a signal to your body to open the floodgates and dump truckloads of this sand into the river all at once. The river becomes overwhelmed. It doesn't know what to do with this sudden, massive surplus of sand. So, the calcium begins to settle everywhere, hardening the riverbanks themselves, your arteries, making them brittle and constricted. Now, consider this happening as we age, when our arteries are already losing some of their natural suppleness. Add in the natural dehydration that can occur overnight, and you have created what doctors call a perfect storm for a stroke. There are no loud warning bells, no flashing lights. It is a silent, gradual process. You go to bed feeling perfectly fine, trusting in the healthy habit you performed, only to wake up to a life that has been forever changed. This brings us to the bottles themselves. If you walk through any store, you will see supplements with 5,000 or even 10,000 U, presented as a normal daily dose. People take them believing more is better. Yet, studies have shown that even 2,000 IU daily may be too much if your body is not truly deficient. Have you ever paused to look at the number on your own bottle and wondered what it truly means for your unique body, your personal ecosystem? This is why I gently urge you, if you take vitamin D, to do so with mindfulness. Have a conversation with your doctor and consider having your blood levels checked. And please, take it in the morning with your breakfast. Allow your body the gift of a full day to process it, rather than burdening it during the sacred, quiet hours of rest. This misunderstanding about vitamin D, this notion that we can force our bodies into health with overwhelming doses, is a profound lesson. But it is only one example. What happens when another vitamin, one praised for helping the heart, begins to thin the very essence of our lifeblood a little too much? Let us now speak of vitamin E and the delicate balance it asks of us. We have just spoken of the silent dangers that can arise from an excessive vitamin D, a quiet imbalance that can build without any obvious signs. But what if the warnings were not always silent? What if our body, in its profound and ancient wisdom, is constantly speaking to us, sending us messages, but we, in our modern haste, have simply forgotten how to listen? This brings us to a concept that is crucial to understand if we are to walk a path of true wellness, the idea of the body's innate wisdom and what I call subtle rejection. We have been taught to think of unwanted reactions to a substance as side effects, a term that implies they are secondary, almost accidental, a glitch in the system. But this is not the case. Your body is not a passive machine that simply malfunctions. It is an active, intelligent, self-regulating ecosystem. When you introduce something that is out of harmony with its natural order, a synthetic chemical it doesn't recognize, or a nutrient in a dose that nature would never provide, it does not simply accept it. It communicates. That communication is what we have mislabeled a side effect. It is, in fact, a message of rejection. Imagine your body as a peaceful, well-governed kingdom. Your innate intelligence is the gentle and wise ruler of this land. When a foreign substance arrives, one that is too potent, too concentrated, too unnatural, it is like an unknown army arriving at the kingdom's gates. The wise ruler does not just passively allow it to enter and cause chaos. It sounds the alarms, the sudden flushing of your skin, a pounding headache, a wave of dizziness, a churning in your stomach. These are not random glitches. These are the kingdom's alarm bells ringing. They are a sign of your body's healthy, active, and wise. Rejection of something that does not belong. Think of the story of the gentleman from Florida, the retired postman Mr. Frank Miller, who would experience those strange hot flashes in his face and a pounding sensation in his chest every morning. He and his wife thought it was anxiety. His son blamed his medication. But was it? Or was it his body's own beautiful, intelligent alarm system? Its subtle rejection of the overwhelming one. 0 milligrams of niacin he was taking in his heart-healthy supplement. It was a message, written in the language of sensation, a message that was unfortunately misunderstood. And what is our modern world's solution to these alarm bells? We create flush-free or extended-release versions of these supplements. In our kingdom analogy, this is like finding the alarm bells too noisy and deciding to cut the ropes so they can no longer ring, all while the invading army continues its advance. We are choosing silence over safety. We are choosing to ignore our body's wisdom because its truth is inconvenient. This is perhaps one of the most perilous aspects of the magic pill illusion, the belief that we can and should suppress the very messages designed to protect us. So I invite you to cultivate a new practice, the practice of becoming a body listener. The next time you take a supplement or even eat a new food, don't just swallow and move on. Pause. Be still for a moment. Listen with your whole being. How does your energy feel in the moments and hours that follow? Is there a subtle shift in your clarity of mind? Is there a new sensation anywhere in your body? These are not meaningless feelings. They are data. They are loving feedback from your oldest and most loyal friend, your own body. Learning to trust this feedback is the most powerful and sacred form of self-care there is. This practice of listening becomes even more critical when we consider substances that work on the very essence of our circulation. The body's rejection of an overwhelming dose is one thing, but what happens when a vitamin actively makes our blood too thin to perform its sacred duty of clotting when needed? Let us now turn our gentle attention back to vitamin E, often called the heart helper, and understand the profound responsibility that comes with its use. Let us now speak of a vitamin that many hold dear, one that is often praised as the heart helper and a guardian of our skin and memory, vitamin E. If you have been taking it for years, you are in good company. Countless people over 60 welcome it into their daily routine, hoping to support their circulation and embrace the aging process with grace. The label on the bottle is a portrait of reassurance, but there is a story on the back of that label, in the invisible ink of caution that often goes unread. The truth is that too much vitamin E, especially when combined with common heart medications, can thin your blood to a dangerous degree, increasing the risk of a bleed within the sacred vessel of your brain. This is a different kind of stroke than the one we spoke of earlier. It is not caused by a clot, but by a leak. I am reminded of a story shared with me about a woman named Evelyn, an 81-year-old retired librarian from Ohio. She was the kind of person whose mind was a beautiful library in itself, full of wit and wisdom. Due to a heart valve issue, her doctors had placed her on warfarin, a common blood thinner, and they monitored her with great care. Her health was stable, a testament to her diligence. But one day, she saw an advertisement in a magazine for a natural vitamin E supplement, 800 U per capsule, promising to enhance memory and circulation. With the purest of intentions, she thought, "This will help me." She began taking it every day. 3 weeks later, she was rushed to the hospital with a terrible headache and profound confusion. A scan of her brain revealed it was not a clot, but a hemorrhagic stroke, a bleed. The cause was not a fall or high blood pressure. It was the combination of her prescribed medication and the high-dose vitamin, which had made her blood too thin to perform its sacred duty. One fragile vessel in her brain had given way. Let's use an analogy to understand this. Imagine your blood has a wise, ancient ability. When a leak appears in one of the body's millions of delicate vessels, your blood knows how to rush to The sight and form a beautiful, intricate patch of clot to seal the leak and preserve life. It is a perfect, life-sustaining dance. Now, a medication like warfarin is designed to gently slow this dance down, to prevent unwanted clots from forming in the larger arteries of the heart. But when you add a high dose of vitamin E, which also works as a natural anticoagulant, it is like telling the already slow dancers that they must now move through thick molasses. The music grinds to a near halt, and so when a tiny, fragile vessel in the brain springs a leak, the dancers simply cannot get there in time to form the patch, and a bleed begins. The tragedy here is the discrepancy between what our bodies need and what is sold to us. The recommended daily intake for an older adult is merely 15 milligrams of vitamin E, which is about 22 IU. Yet, the supplements on store shelves often contained 100 for 100, or even 1,000 U per capsule, with no prominent warning, no gentle consultation. Evelyn survived her brain bleed, but she was changed. She walked with a cane, and her sharp, short-term memory never fully returned. Through tears, she shared the words that so many others have felt. I just wanted to help myself. I didn't know I was doing harm. Her story is a lesson in humility. It teaches us that our body is a complex and interwoven tapestry. We cannot simply pull on one thread, no matter how well-intentioned, without understanding how it affects all the others. This is especially true if you are on any medication for your heart or blood pressure. You must think of your supplements and your medications as having a conversation inside your body. And it is vital to have your doctor or pharmacist act as the translator. We have seen how an excess of one vitamin can thicken the river of our blood with minerals, and how another can thin that same river to the point of danger. But our body's electrical grid, the delicate communication network of our nerves, can also be damaged by these well-meaning helpers. What happens when a vitamin meant to support our nerves begins, instead, to strip them bare? Let us now discuss the surprising truth about vitamin B6. Let us now turn our attention to a vitamin that speaks directly to a deep-seated fear of aging, the fear of losing our mental sharpness and our physical stability. I am speaking of vitamin B6. You have likely seen it featured prominently in supplements that carry promising labels like nerve support, brain booster, or energy formula. Perhaps someone you know, or even you yourself, has reached for one of these bottles, hoping to keep the mind clear, the hands steady, and the feet firmly planted on the earth. The intention is beautiful, but the paradox we must gently confront is that this very vitamin, when taken in the high doses found in these formulas, can actually cause the very thing it claims to prevent, nerve damage, sometimes permanent. This is not a theoretical danger. I think of a man named Harold, a 76-year-old retired truck driver from Kansas, a man who had spent his life feeling connected to the road beneath him. He came to see me because that connection was fading. His feet were numb, his hands tingled with a strange electricity, and his balance, once rock solid, had become unreliable. He had begun to fall, and the fear of falling had started to shrink his world. He, like many, assumed it was just the inevitable price of a long life. When we spoke, I asked him about his daily rituals, and he mentioned a nerve support formula he had been taking dutifully for over a year. The label promised to support brain health and circulation. When we looked at the fine print, we found the source of his suffering. Each tablet contained 100 milligrams of vitamin B6, and he was taking to a day. That is 200 milligrams daily, a dose more than 10 times the safe upper limit for an older adult. To understand what was happening inside his body, imagine the nerves that run from your brain to your fingertips, and your toes are like delicate, insulated wires. This protective coating, this insulation, allows the electrical messages of thought and movement to travel swiftly and clearly. Now, think of a massive, unnatural dose of vitamin B6 building up in your system day after day. As a kind of slow, steady solvent, over months or years, it begins to dissolve this precious insulation, leaving the wire exposed and frayed. The messages from the brain become scrambled and weak. The result is that tingling, that numbness, that muscle weakness. The clear signal has been replaced by static. The great tragedy of this particular imbalance is how quietly it can steal your stability. It does not arrive like a thunderclap. It creeps in like a fog, making it so easy to mistake for arthritis or simple aging, or even the early signs of dementia. It is a slow, preventable kind of nerve damage caused by a pill that was meant to help. Harold was fortunate. We identified the source. He stopped the supplement, and the damage did not progress further. But the fog did not fully lift. He still uses a cane to feel secure, and he no longer trusts himself behind the wheel of a car. I just wanted to protect my brain, he told me, his voice filled with a quiet grief. I didn't realize I was poisoning it. His story is a call for us to become loving detectives for our own health. I invite you, if you are taking any supplement that promises to support your nerves, your brain, or your energy, to please perform a small ritual of awareness. Turn the bottle around. Look past the promises on the front and read the facts on the back. Look for pyridoxine, which is the scientific name for vitamin B6, and see the dosage. Older adults only need about 2 to 10 milligrams a day, an amount easily obtained from a balanced diet. The 50 or 100 or 200 milligrams found in so many pills is not just unnecessary. It is a gamble with your mobility and your independence. We have seen how our circulation and our nervous system can be thrown into chaos. But what about the very pressure within our skull? What if a vitamin, one we take for something as simple as our eyesight, could create a false pressure that mimics a stroke? Let us now discuss the fat-soluble nature of vitamin A and the unique caution it requires. Asterisk, if there is one vitamin we have associated with a fundamental sense of well-being since childhood, it is likely vitamin A. We are told it is essential for good eyesight, perhaps even remembering cartoons where a hero would eat carrots to see in the dark. As we age, we hear that it supports our immune system and keeps our skin healthy. It seems like a foundational pillar of health, simple and straightforward. But here, we must pause and understand a crucial difference in how our bodies handle certain substances. For this difference can mean the boundary between nourishment and harm. Unlike many vitamins that dissolve in water and are flushed from the body if taken in excess, vitamin A is fat-soluble. Think of your body as a house. A water-soluble vitamin is like a guest who visits for the day, performs a helpful task, and then leaves when their work is done. A fat-soluble vitamin like A, however, is a guest who moves into the spare room. It stores its belongings in your tissues, your liver, and even your brain. It stays. Now, 1 or 2 guests are welcome, but if dozens of these guests arrive day after day and never leave, the house becomes crowded, cluttered, and the very pressure inside the walls begins to build over time. This buildup can increase the pressure inside your skull, mimicking the terrifying symptoms of a stroke. I am reminded of a dear woman named Dorothy, a retired piano teacher from Oregon who was 79 years young. Her life was a beautiful symphony of independence and joy, teaching music to students from her living room. But one day, a dissonant chord was struck. She began to experience severe headaches. Then her vision blurred, followed by waves of dizziness and even slurred speech. Her family, understandably, feared the worst of stroke. But when the doctors performed their scans, they found no clot, no bleed. Instead, they found that the pressure inside her brain was dangerously high. Her body was creating a condition called pseudotumor cerebri, a false brain tumor. The cause was traced back to a skin and eye supplement she had been taking with dutiful faith for over 5 years, one that contained nearly 10,000 U of vitamin A per day. The tricky part is that many daily multivitamins already contain the full recommended dose of vitamin A. The danger rises when people, like Dorothy, unknowingly add a specialized skin, eye, or anti-aging formula on top of it, accidentally doubling or tripling their intake without a second thought. The safe upper limit for seniors is roughly 2,500 to 3,000 U per day, and that is only if it's truly needed. When you compare that to the 5, 0 or 10,000 IU capsules sold so freely online and in stores, you can see how easily and innocently this toxic buildup can occur over years. Dorothy is slowly recovering now, but her life has been forever changed. Now a routine of regular eye exams, pressure checks, and balanced therapy to reclaim what was lost. she once told me, her voice full of a quiet bewilderment. I truly thought I was doing something good for my body. I never imagined it could hurt my brain. Her story is a profound call for us to see our wellness routine, not as a list of separate items, but as a whole. It's an invitation to read the labels on all our bottles, to ask if we are unknowingly taking the same guest into our house from multiple doorways. This internal pressure, this false storm within the brain, is a powerful example of how too much of a good thing can become a poison. But the body's pressure systems are varied. What happens when a vitamin, one specifically taken to help with cholesterol and heart health, begins to play a dangerous game with your blood pressure itself? Let us now bring our awareness to niacin. We arrive now at the final vitamin in this particular journey of awareness, niacin, which you may also know as vitamin B3. This one is often praised, sometimes even by well-meaning doctors, as a natural way to support healthy cholesterol levels. You will find it championed in heart health supplements, added to energy drinks, and used to fortify cereals. It is woven into the fabric of our food supply, often silently. But what is left out of this conversation, especially for those of us over 60 whose systems have a finer, more delicate balance, is the volatile effect high-dose niacin can have on our blood pressure. It can create sudden, dramatic swings that can stress the heart and, in some cases, even trigger a stroke. I think of Frank, an 82-year-old retired postman from Florida. He came to see me with a collection of strange and troubling symptoms. He would experience sudden hot flashes in his face, a pounding sensation in his chest, and waves of dizziness that would come and go without reason. His wife was convinced it was anxiety. His son thought it was a problem with his blood pressure medication. No one thought to check his supplements on the front of the bottle. The label proudly promised to support cholesterol and circulation. On the back, in the fine print, it revealed its contents: 1,000 milligrams of niacin per serving. Frank was taking it twice a day. That is 2,000 milligrams daily, a dose more than 60 times the amount most seniors actually need. To understand what was happening inside Frank's body, imagine your blood vessels are like soft, flexible garden hoses. When you take a high dose of niacin, it's like suddenly opening a powerful valve that causes all those hoses to dramatically expand. This is the source of the famous niacin flush, the warmth and redness of the skin from the sudden rush of blood through these wider channels. But then, just as suddenly, the body, in its wisdom, tries to correct this extreme state. It slams the valve shut, causing the hoses to constrict, sometimes even tighter than they were before. This sudden tightening can cause your blood pressure to spike, putting immense stress on your heart and reducing vital blood flow to your brain. Day after day, this constant, violent yo-yo effect of expanding and constricting is like tapping a small hammer on a fragile pane of glass. Eventually, something is bound to give. For Frank, it resulted in what is called a transient ischemic attack, or a mini stroke. For a few terrifying minutes, his speech became slurred, and then, mercifully, it returned. He thought it was just a fluke, a momentary glitch. I had to share with him the hard truth. The daily supplement he was taking to help his heart was, in fact, quietly harming his brain. And he is not alone. Many people take flush-free or extended-release versions, believing them to be safer, but even these can still affect blood pressure, trigger atrial fibrillation, and disrupt blood sugar levels over time. That Frank is off niacin now, and he has recovered with no permanent damage, for which we are all grateful. But he told me something I will never forget. He said, "I thought I was doing everything right. I didn't know I was gambling with my brain." His story marks the end of our journey through these specific warnings. We have walked together through a field of well-intentioned habits that can, in the wrong measure, cast long shadows on our health. And so, you might be asking the most important question of all: if not these pills, then what? If these concentrated helpers carry such risks, where do we turn for true, safe, and lasting nourishment? Let us now turn our faces toward the dawn. Let us talk about the path of true nourishment and the profound wisdom found not in a bottle, but in the beautiful synergy of whole foods. After walking through such a field of warnings, it is natural to seek refuge in a simple answer. It is human to ask, just tell me what to do. If these pills are not the path, what is? We long for a clear instruction, a new magic pill to replace the old ones. But the deepest healing, the most profound and lasting wellness, is rarely found in a single instruction. It is found in a shift of understanding. It is about moving away from the idea of fixing a broken part and toward the idea of nurturing a whole system. The wisdom of nature is not based on isolation, but on synergy. Synergy is the beautiful and sacred idea that the whole is far greater than the sum of its parts. Let me offer you an image. Imagine a magnificent symphony orchestra. You have the violins, the cellos, the woodwinds, the brass, and the percussion. When they play together, guided by a masterful conductor, they create a breathtaking piece of music that can stir your soul and bring tears to your eyes. The harmony, the rhythm, the emotional depth that all comes from the interplay of every single instrument. Now, imagine taking one single violinist from that orchestra, putting them alone on the massive stage, and asking them to play their part as loud as they possibly can. The sound would not be music. It would be a shrill, unbalanced, and jarring noise. It might be technically correct, but it would lack harmony, context, and grace. A high-dose, isolated vitamin supplement is that lone, loud violinist. It is one single note, shouted out of context from the rest of the orchestra. A whole fruit, a single blueberry, a spinach leaf. A humble almond is the entire orchestra playing in perfect harmony. Let us make this real. Consider an orange. We have been taught to think of it simply as a source of vitamin C, but an orange is a universe of nourishment. It contains vitamin C, yes, but it also contains plant compounds called flavonoids. It contains natural fiber. It contains living water for hydration. It contains natural sugars for gentle energy. And it contains hundreds of other phytonutrients that science has yet to even name or understand. All of these elements work together in synergy. The fiber in the orange slows down the absorption of its sugar, preventing a spike in your blood sugar. The flavonoids in the orange enhance the function of the vitamin C and protect it from oxidation. They all support one another. Your body, in its innate wisdom, recognizes this symphony. It knows how to welcome it, how to digest it, and how to use each part in beautiful concert with the others. A simple ascorbic acid pill, which is what most vitamin C supplements are, is just that one isolated note, that one loud violinist. The body receives it, but not with the same recognition, not with the same harmonious result. This principle of synergy is also nature's most profound safety mechanism. It is nearly impossible to reach a toxic level of vitamin A by eating carrots, sweet potatoes, and leafy greens. Your stomach would feel full and satisfied long before you ever approached a dangerous dose. It is incredibly difficult to get a toxic dose of B6 from eating chickpeas and bananas. Nature provides the nourishment and the off switch in the same elegant package. The supplements strip away the safety, the context, and the harmony, leaving only the potency. So when we ask the question, what should I do instead of these pills? The answer is not another pill. The answer is to trust the orchestra. The answer is to stop trying to be the conductor, forcing one instrument to play louder, and instead to simply be a grateful member of the audience, receiving the beautiful, balanced music of whole foods. This brings us to the final, practical, and most joyful part of our journey together. What does this path of true nourishment look like on our plate, day by day? Let us explore that now. So, how do we begin to invite this beautiful symphony of whole foods back into our lives? How do we walk away from the aisle of brightly colored bottles and enter the sanctuary of the garden and the farmer's market? We move from a mindset of fear and avoidance to one of joyful, mindful nourishment. The path forward is not one of complex rules, but of profound simplicity. I am reminded of Margaret, a 73-year-old retired school principal, a woman of great intelligence and discipline. When I first met her, she pulled out a drawer filled with supplements. There was vitamin D for her bones, vitamin E for her heart, a B complex for energy, niacin for cholesterol, and a general multivitamin on top of it all. I'm doing everything right, Kai, she said, but her body was telling a different story. She was feeling dizzy in the mornings. Her balance was faltering. and her blood pressure kept climbing, despite her efforts. So, we did something that felt radical in its simplicity. We gently cleared the clutter. One by one, the pills were set aside, and in their place, we invited real food. Not a fancy diet, not a difficult program, but simple, recognizable, whole foods offered to her body in a spirit of peace rather than a spirit of control. Her new breakfast was a portrait of this harmony. It often consisted of one boiled egg, offering clean and simple protein. Alongside it, half an avocado, rich in the healthy fats that the brain so dearly loves. There was a slice of whole grain toast, which provides slow, steady energy, preventing the blood sugar swings that can lead to dizziness. On top, a handful of vibrant blueberries, tiny jewels loaded with brain protective antioxidants. And to drink, a simple glass of room temperature water to gently hydrate her system after a night of rest. Some days, she would add a few walnuts or almonds. That was it. No powders, no capsules, just food. Real, nourishing food. Within a few weeks, Margaret felt a shift. The morning dizziness began to fade. Her blood pressure stabilized. She told me her mind felt clearer and calmer than it had in years. Why? Because her body was no longer being bombarded with isolated, high-dose commands. It was being offered a peaceful, harmonious meal that it recognized and knew how to use. With grace, her brain was receiving hydration, healthy fats, and consistent fuel, all wrapped in a symphony of micronutrients in their natural, balanced forms. This is a path available to all of us. You can invite these healing orchestras into your own life. Think of leafy greens like spinach and kale, rich in folate and antioxidants that act as guardians for your mind. Imagine fatty fish like salmon or sardines, full of the omega-3 salts that build and protect your brain cells. See the deep, rich colors of berries, whose polyphenols gently reduce inflammation throughout your body. Feel the satisfying substance of nuts and seeds, which provide natural vitamin E, magnesium, and other brain-healthy fats. Embrace whole grains, which support stable blood sugar and healthy circulation. You are not just eating, you are healing with every single bite. At this stage in our lives, every choice matters more deeply. And the truth is, awareness is your most powerful medicine. Your body at 60, 70, or 80 does not process supplements in the same way it did decades ago. You do not need to fear vitamins, but you do need to respect them. Read the labels, ask your doctor, and most importantly, listen to the wisdom of your own body when it whispers to you. If any part of this journey has spoken to your heart, I invite you to share in the comments what is one small, compassionate change you will make starting tomorrow. If you found this helpful, please give it a like to help this wisdom find others who may need it. And subscribe so we can continue to learn and grow strong together. You are not alone on this path, and you are never, ever too old to take back control of your own beautiful health.